Welcome back, guys. My name is Mike Hurtaza, and this is my YouTube channel on all things 49ers. We're going to have a fun one here with the 2019 49ers draft class, and this class basically led to two NFC championships. This class is just filled with talent, and it's probably one of the better classes the 49ers have had in I don't know how long, a long time. There's just talent all over. There is some questionable picks, but there is just everywhere from undrafted free agent to late round picks to our first two picks. So I guess we'll get that started with Nick Bosa. He was the second overall pick in the 2019 draft, drafted after Kyler Murray. Luckily for the 49ers, the Cardinals decided to move on from Josh Rosen and draft Kyler Murray, allowing Nick Bosa to fall because really we thought we were not going to draft Nick Bosa because we didn't expect him to be there. We didn't lose that last game, which basically allowed us to fall from the first potential pick to the second one. And yeah, Nick Bosa, man, what a rookie year. He played in 16 games, started in 14. He had 9 sacks his rookie year. He racked up the fourth most quarterback pressures in the NFL with 60. Was the defensive rookie of the year. Was outstanding. He transformed this defense. I mean, that was one of the questionable aspects on this defense was the defensive line. We didn't have any edge pressure. We can keep this defense in games, but really we had no pressure. I think we had like Marsh was one of our better defensive ends early on in the Kyle Shanahan tenure, but we didn't really have any pressure. They also at that time, that offseason, also traded for Dee Ford, who that season had a pretty good season until he eventually got hurt. Okay, now moving on to Nick Bosa's second year, the second game in, he tore his ACL, and he didn't produce anything that season because of the ACL. He ended up leaving the team to recover in Miami, and then kind of transformed his body even to another level going into his third season, into the 2021 season, which he played and started in all 17 games. He produced 15.5 sacks, which was the fourth most in the NFL. He had 52 total quarterback pressures, which ranked fifth, and was one of the most double teamed and triple teamed players in the NFL, which is pretty. I mean, if you watched it, he was getting chipped by the tight end. He had the guard. He had the tackle. He was the most, focal point for the offenses to stop. And early on, I mean, we just could not stop the run, and we could not allow Nick Bosa to get out of those triple teams. And then down the line, I think it was like game 8. They kind of started moving Nick Bosa around to the left and the right end inside, trying to get him off those double teams. Which I'm surprised it took him that long to kind of decide that, hey, we should probably move him around. Which which ended up working out for Nick Bosa, of course. Now I definitely want to see the 49ers go get another edge guy. I mean, we had Arden Key, but he was getting all his pressure on the inside. Eric Armstead moved inside. I think for the future of Nick Bosa, if they can definitely get an athletic speed talent to put on the opposite side, it would definitely allow Nick Bosa to be unlocked. I mean, if you put all your attention on Nick Bosa, if somebody else is eating, okay, now we have to maybe take off a couple double teams and kind of help out on the other side. So for the future, that's definitely something I would like to see. But sticking with Nick Bosa, this is an A+ hit. I mean, he better be with the second pick in the draft. I mean, we've seen it in the past. The 49ers who drafted Solomon Thomas third overall a few years back, that was a big whiff, and it kind of put us back where we had to put a lot of assets into, trading for a Dee Ford, trading a second round pick to get him and give him a big contract. And it ended up blowing up in their face because, Dee Ford can't stay healthy. So, yeah, this is an A+. This is a generational talent. He's one of the best defensive ends in the league, and he's only going to get better as long as he can stay healthy, which is, kind of the, I don't want to say the issue with this draft, but our top talent has been hurt in this draft class, and it's an issue with the 49ers in general. But you had to bet on him because there was other guys that you could have drafted in this draft. Josh Allen, Quentin Williams, who ended up going to the Jets, and then Khalil Farrell, who went to the Raiders a couple picks later. So also Sweet, who went to the Washington football team. Yeah, D4. I'm sorry, Nick Bosa is definitely the best player in that draft, potentially with the next player who I'm going to talk about. And I'm not trying to be a homer here. I mean, the 49ers, those first 2 rounds just knocked out because not only are they generational talents, but they're like one of the most important players on offense and defense. And let's move on to D Ford. Let's hold on. Let me transition here to Deebo Samuel. So Deebo Samuel, second round pick. I believe he was picked 36. At the time, we all kind of assumed that Kyle Shanahan would definitely love Deebo Samuel because of the type of yak guy that he is. Not only that, they had him in the Senior Bowl. They were able to coach him up. And from all reports, Mike McDaniel and Deebo Samuel just had instant like chemistry on that front. They became basically best friends from what all reports say. They ended up drafting him, like I said, 36 overall. There was a lot. This is one of the deeper receiver drafts, which I feel like that's every year now. That all these drafts, the Brandon Ayuk draft. If you haven't watched it, I have a 2020 NFL draft review on that one. But yes, Deebo Samuel, rookie year, started in. He played in 15 games and started in 11 that season. Had 57 receptions for 802 yards and 3 touchdowns. Had also 14 carries on 159 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground, which this is the start of the story of what Deebo Samuel transformed in Week 10 of 2021. But we'll get there in a bit. Okay, so yeah, Deebo Samuel pretty much allowed the 49ers to have a second weapon. At the time, we did have Dante Pettis, but this season he kind of fell off the charts. Going into the 2018 draft, which he was drafted, he ended up having a pretty good rookie year, Dante Pettis. But going into the second season, I guess he didn't work hard enough or whatever. I don't know what the exact issue is, but he fell down the chart, the depth chart. They ended up trading for Emmanuel Sanders, giving up a third-round pick in 2020, that draft. But yes, that Emmanuel Sanders, Deebo Samuel combo basically allowed Jimmy Garoppolo to get the ball to them, and they did all the work. They allowed them to basically get a lot of yards after the carry, that and George Kittle, and kind of helped raise the talent on offense and made a run for to the Super Bowl. So yeah, it's definitely a good rookie year Deebo Samuel had. I don't know what we expected going into his second year, but unfortunately, during an offseason workout in Nashville, Jones, which he was with the team, they all had flown down to Nashville. I think George Kittle had put something together, and this is during COVID year. Deebo Samuel had a Jones fracture in his foot, or his foot, and broke it. Basically was out most of the start of the season. He ended up playing in 7 games, started in 5, had 33 receptions for 391 yards and a touchdown. This is the story of that season, right? Nick Bosa, the first-round pick, his second season, tore ACL, gone. Deebo Samuel, second-round pick. 2 important pieces that had helped the 49ers reach the Super Bowl the season prior were gone for most of the season, if not for all, because Nick Bosa only played 2. That was one of the worst things that happened, and then everything else happened. Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. The whole defense fell apart. The defense didn't fall apart. The talent fell apart, and Saleh kind of helped it, and it was still a top 5, top 10 producing defense with little talent. But on the Deebo Samuel front, yeah, this was definitely, we didn't get to see much. I think we had 1 game with Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel that season, so we didn't really get to see what this team could look like until, of course, this past season. And moving to Deebo Samuel's third season, he played in 16 games, starting 15 of those, had 77 receptions for 1,405 yards and 6 touchdowns. He rushed for 59. He had 59 attempts for 365 yards and 8 touchdowns. I believe. I feel like he was over 500. Let me know if the stat wrong. I feel like he was over 500 yards rushing. This is off of the stat online, but I feel like he rushed for over 500 yards. But regardless, so from my understanding, Deebo Samuel by like week 10 already had 1,000 yards rushing. 1,000 yards receiving, and then that's when they moved him. Kyle asked if, hey, we're gonna put you in the running back position just to give a little more spark to the running game, because at that point, they were trying to put together games, and yeah, they put him back there, and they created this wide back role that we had seen earlier in the season with Cordell Patterson with the Falcons. They allowed him, and Deebo Samuel, of course, has that thick body that can kind of take and absorb those hits and give those hits. And of course, instantly he became the most productive running back or receiver there, and he was just producing, and it was very fun to see because I think Deebo Samuel ended up being one of the most. I don't want to say he's the best receiver in the league, because there's so many. It's so hard to just pinpoint one. And Devontae Adams, of course, he just does it. But like Deebo Samuel's the most talented piece on offense. Like, he does so much for the 49ers, where like he if it's in the backfield, if it's down the field, if it's with Yak, we saw him throw a touchdown pass. We saw him kick returns. I'm not sure if he did any punt returns, but he's capable of doing it. What can't he do? He's been everything at plus more. To me, he's a top 5 talent at the receiver position. I feel like he's a top 5 talent in the NFL. And you stack that with Nick Bosa, who just got drafted in the first round, Deebo Samuel in the second. Those are 2 massive pieces that the 49ers put together in one draft. Those are mega stars. That's insane. I just can't fathom what they put together in those 2 picks. They better have. They had just, they had traded for Jimmy 2 seasons prior. Jimmy, his second season, tore his ACL. That whole season, that 2018 season, they were completely shit. CJ Beathard, Nick Mullins started at quarterback. We went through a lot, and to come out of that draft and not only get Nick Bosa, but Deebo Samuel, and add that talent where we haven't had this type of massive talent on this team is incredible. So the next pick is the quite opposite, where Jalen Hurts, 3rd round pick, and this one's just the most disappointing pick. And if I didn't grade it, Deebo Samuel A+. So 2 picks, Nick Bosa A+, Deebo Samuel A+. Jalen Hurts, and what can I say about this guy? We saw him in I think 2 preseason games, and that was it. The guy couldn't stay healthy. So his rookie season, he had a back injury, didn't play the entire season. Then going into his second season, he tore his ACL, didn't play the entire season. So now 3rd season, which was the one that we just had, he played the final 3rd preseason game. He didn't look good. He got through the game. I think that's what they were hoping to see him, that, oh yeah, he can, get through a game, and that's what made him allow him to make the roster. The biggest reason was his rookie season. He was said to be the best receiver on the field. He was better than Deebo Samuel. They had a big role. That wide back role that we saw Deebo Samuel, that was Jalen Hurts. He was going to be in the backfield. He was going to be a receiver. He was going to be a tight end. He was going to be everywhere. Kyle Shanahan really is creating a team full of different interchangeable pieces. We see Kyle Juszczyk. He'll go out to the slot. He can go in the backfield. He can line up at tight end. We see him everywhere. This is something that Jalen Hurts, we didn't get to see because the dude couldn't stay healthy. Now, how do I grade a guy who's this hurt? Right? I typically kind of give him a slight, but this is an F, right? Jalen Hurts at Tennessee was a running back, and he couldn't stay healthy. He was having issues. He transferred to Baylor to be a receiver because Tennessee didn't want him to transition to a receiver. Well, so he transferred. And the dude there's a history of injuries with him. There was a reason why he transitioned, because he couldn't help, be a running back. The dude's huge. I think he was like 6'4". Being a running back is ridiculous. So yeah, I think it's an F. I'm sorry to say it. It's a third-round pick. I think Terry McLaurin went either right in front of him or right behind him, something like that. I mean, it's kind of sad to say, because I think Jalen Hurts' career is probably over, and it's due to injury, and that kind of sucks. So, yeah. Now the next pick is Mitch Wishanowski, the Aussie punter that we drafted in the 4th round. Come on, guys. No more punters this early. Draft punters, 7th round, undrafted free agent. Like, the problem is, so we get this guy, which it's not his fault. He got picked here. This is on the 49ers. Of course, the guy who we had just let go goes to Tampa Bay. He was a 4th round pick previously. Different GM at the time. It was Trent Baalke. He drafted him and let Andy Lee go. But, okay, so we get Mitch Wishanowski. Has he been worth the 4th round pick? No. If you draft a guy in the 4th round, he's got to be an all-pro. He's got to be one of the better punters in the league. Mitch is super inconsistent. He can definitely has a leg, but sometimes he'll just have a really bad punt, and it'll go 30 yards. He's so up and down, but sometimes he could just, I don't know. And the problem is, okay, now we have to pay him after this season. Do we pay him, or are we looking to draft another punter? Please, just don't draft another punter in the 4th round. But yeah, I'm going to say this is we got value out of it because he's still our punter. I'm going to call this a C-, because, the reason why you draft guys this early, specifically at this position, is because they better be damn good at the position. It is a 4th round pick, but you could have definitely got depth at another position. So, with that, let's transition to Dre Greenlaw. Man, this guy has been a steal. 5th round pick. So his rookie season, due to injuries with Kwan Alexander, not K1. Sorry, K1 Williams is the corner. But Kwan Alexander, who we ended up signing in free agency for a big contract, coming off of an ACL tear, which is another thing. We continue to put money into assets that have injury history, but whatever. Dre Greenlaw, this guy put us in the playoffs as the number 1 seed. We were going to make the playoffs, but the last game of the season, we played the Seahawks. The last play of the game, Dre Greenlaw makes a massive stop on the goal line, which completely allows us to make a run to the Super Bowl in 2019. And what can I say? This guy has been a really good find, a gem. This whole not secondary linebacker core with Fred Warner, with El Shair, who we'll talk about later. They just continue to find these guys. They're not. Fred Warner was a 3rd round pick, but Dre Greenlaw was a 5th round pick. El Shair was undrafted free agent, and they're able to produce and put them into positions that fit this team. Dre Greenlaw is going to be a guy who's going into his 4th season here. He's going to potentially see what we do with him, if we extend him, if we move him. But I definitely think this is a great pick. Continues to be why this draft has been one of the better drafts in I don't know how long, a long time. But he's definitely helped us put this team in position to push us to 2 NFC championships. All these guys who had an impact: Nick Bosa, Deebo Samuel. I guess Mitch Wishanowski is our starter at punter, so whatever. But yeah, Dre Greenlaw. And then our 6th round picks. None of them worked. But hey, this is the 6th round. You kind of you take on guys who you hope to. You get athletic profiles and you hope to mold them into something. It didn't work out here. Caden Smith, we ended up cutting him after the preseason, his rookie season. He goes to the Giants. He ends up finding a nice role there as the second tight end and occasionally the first tight end because Evan Ingram is super injured all the time. And so he finds himself starting a lot. Good for them to able to produce. And unfortunately for us, we weren't able to do so because I think Ross Dwelly took his spot. And so be it. Justin Skoll, actually have some info on him. He ended up starting 12 games for the 49ers so far in his career. A lot, I think most of that is his rookie season. That 2019 run for Joe Staley. I think Mike McGlinchey had an injury that season too. And, he allowed us to make a run. I mean, I think the value there in the 6th round for a guy, and he's still on the team. He did tear his ACL on June 7th, in 2021. He was waived injured and reverted back to the IR and currently is on the team. So he can still have an impact on this team. We'll see how that does. If he does anything, and is a plus. Like if he ends up reverting back to the swing tackle position that he had. I mean, he's played 31 games so far for the 49ers. I definitely think that in the 6th round, that's great depth piece that the 49ers are able to provide. Tim Harris, this guy basically was on the practice squad most of his career. He was with the 49ers in 2019 and the 2020 season. All practice squad. The Buffalo Bills signed him after we cut him, and in 2021, cut again to the Browns, was cut, and he's back with the Bills. And he's currently there. So he's still in the league. I thought he was a guy who can develop, but, corner is one of the hardest positions to kind of bet on because you have to be one of the most talented guys on the field. It's very hard, and all the rules are against you. So, Justin Skoll in the 6th round has worked out, and that was all the picks that we had. I think the notable undrafted free agents is the story also, which is why I'm going to have a good grade on this at the end. Kevin Givens, defensive line, big body guy. He showed massive potential. We just have a lot of guys at the moment. He could still do something for us. He could start for us. We'll see what happens with DJ Jones. But Kevin Givens, he definitely has something for us. I think he's going to be a guy that we, will count on as a depth piece on that defensive line. He's definitely going to be needed. We'll see if we continue to extend him in the next following years. But yeah, a good depth piece that we will, continue to have. And then of course, Azeez Al-Shaair, our linebacker, he was a depth piece prior to this season because of Drake Greenlaw's injury. Was thrown into the fire as a starter. Has looked great. I mean, the guy. And he would feel better in Fred Warner's role where he's just the guy with the green dot on his helmet and is leading the way. But Azeez Al-Shaair, I mean, him with Drake Greenlaw and Fred Warner, to me, best linebacking core in the NFL. Best linebacking core. I mean, what can you say? And the one thing that I don't think is talked about is that the NFL is struggling right now with the linebackers. And the 49ers have 3 starters. 1 All-Pro. Drake Greenlaw is damn good. He's not an All-Pro. That's Fred Warner. Drake Greenlaw is damn good. And, of course, Azeez Al-Shaair, who's as good as he is. So, damn, what do you guys put in the freaking water and at the 49ers facility? Because those linebackers, we just keep, producing. And then Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles is a great depth piece at the linebacker core. I mean, he's, I believe, our 4th linebacker. So, and he's a former safety in college. We just find... our team just does a great job at finding guys, specifically even undrafted free agents, and be able to develop them and put them in roles and positions to succeed. That's definitely one of the things that I don't see. Maybe because I follow the 49ers, but man, the amount of players that we can get 5th round and back, even undrafted free agents, we are able to just create not only starters, but depth pieces. That is extremely important. And why this 49ers team has been in 2 NFC championships in the past 3 years. So it's definitely one of the most talented ones. I mean, of course, they're going to have massive hits. I mean, early on, I feel like our hits are our early picks, right? 1st through 3rd round. Those are where our busts are. I mean, those are typically where your busts are. You don't really count on anyone's 4th through 7th round to turn into a superstar. But when you do hit those George Kittles, those Drake Greenlaws, I mean, Elijah Mitchell was a 6th round pick. and he ends up starting his rookie season the whole season because Mostert goes out the first game. I definitely think this has been one of the most amazing draft classes that the 49ers have had. An overall grade, man. What can I say? I mean, it's an A+. This draft has catapulted the 49ers to 2 NFC championships because of the players in this draft. That's amazing. And am I being a little overbiased and a little excited over it? No, I'm not. This is a damn good class. Like, this is the type of, you can go look at my 2 other videos. I have the 2020 draft class review and the 2021 draft class review. I do not grade those. Those are more of specifically talking about what they've done so far. I believe that you should not grade any of these players until they hit after the 3rd season. I think that's where you kind of can sit back and kind of put them, okay, they've been in the league for 3 seasons. They are what they are at this point. Can they develop into something more? Sure. But more than likely, I think the NFL, I think isn't like 3 years is the lifespan of an NFL player. You kind of know what you are by now. So I think at this point you can grade who they are and what they are going forward pretty well. Yeah, of course, when they move to another team, because after the fourth year, either if they're a first round pick, they can be picked up as a 5th year contract option, or they can deny it, or you're the rest of the drafts, 2nd through 7th round or undrafted free agent. You're a free agent at this point. You can definitely find yourself a role in a different team, but I think this is an A+. I think this is one of the best drafts for the 49ers have had in I don't know how long, a long time. I mean, the Olden Smith draft was pretty good, but it didn't age well, right? So with that, follow on. Again, I said I had the 2020 to 2021 draft reviews of the 49ers. I have some new content coming out. I have some combine stuff that's going to come out. We're going to do a deep dive on the draft. If you guys want to learn on these draft prospects the same way I am in the same time frame, let's do it. It's going to be tough because we don't have a first round pick. And we kind of have to do kind of deeper dive on these players, the edge players, the corner players, offensive line. Yeah, so I'm excited. Follow along, subscribe. It's going to be a fun ride. Come join. My name is Mike Urtaza. Follow me on Twitter at UrtazaBlue. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.